So trade facilitation agreement is one of the most important current affair from external sector. I'm telling it, most important current affair from external sector. You can expect this question for this year prelims. Okay, so I'll tell you the reason. We'll come to it. Okay. Now, see, I'll give you the material. Most probably by tomorrow you'll get the material on trade facilitation agreement. But just note down the points which I am discussing. That's sufficient. And solve that model question and its explanation. That will be sufficient for you. But you can read it because you need to revise it, so that I'll send you the material. Okay. So now, see, if anyone is having doubt on trade facilitation agreement, certain terms, please go back and read WTO. Okay. So actually, this is a current affair coming under World Trade Organization. So many of the things which I'll be again revising it. Okay. Now come back regarding trade facilitation agreement. If you have those who have attended my WTO, I hope that all of you have attended my WTO classes. If you have attended my WTO classes, we have discussed many important conferences. Okay, so what was the first ministerial conference where it has held? It's a fact, it's not that important, but it's very important. It's not that important, they will not ask you where first ministerial conference, but it's important for other reason. For what? Singapore issues. See, UPSC will not ask what is where the first ministerial conference of WTO held. In the present context, they will not ask. But the first ministerial conference is important. Why? Because of Singapore issues. Because of Singapore issues. So what happened in Singapore? So what is Singapore issue? In the first ministerial conference held in Singapore, developing countries had come with new issues which was not being negotiated under Uruguay round. You getting the point? See, try to understand that in WTO, when you hear the word new issues under WTO, it was not negotiated under Uruguay round of negotiation. What is the specialty of Uruguay round of negotiation? In the Uruguay round only, WTO came into existence. So in the Singapore Ministerial Conference, many of the new issues have come, but our concern is in relation to there. The first thing which they brought was in relation to trade facilitation. Trade facilitation was one of the issue. So this is a very vital point. Trade facilitation is one of the Singapore issues. Okay, now so just have an idea. So this trade facilitation agreement, which is very important, a current affair, have an history long back to first ministerial conference which was held in Singapore. So that's why I call it a Singapore issue. Okay, so now you need to, so just have an idea, this issue have cropped up in way back in 1996 in the first ministerial conference. Now regarding the concept, what do you mean by trade facilitation? See, meaning is there, very simple. Trade, facilitate trade. Trade facilitate means you need to do something to facilitate. So basically try to understand this agreement is for goods only. This agreement is for goods only. And the core objective, trade facilitation for goods, especially cargo goods, merchandise goods. It's basically merchandise exports. Okay, so basically this trade facilitation is in relation to, when we say the core point is in relation to customs, means making the customs procedure, customs compliance very easy. You know that in many of the cases, when a imported container reaches any of the port, there are lot of procedural formalities from customs. Yes, Rudal? Okay, so because of that, because of these customs procedures, what happened is that there used to be a great delay in releasing that container or cargo. And then not only that, you have to pay the import, if you have to pay the duty first. Without paying the duty, they will not release the cargo. And then there are not only that, so that is from the customs side, then there are other authorities also in relation to checking the phytosanitary condition and other things. So what actually happened is that even for a goods which is in transition, it also gets stuck up. You know what I mean by goods in transition? Actually, it is not getting the point. Goods, imagine that Kochi port. Okay, do you think that the ship which coming to Kochi it's all the containers for the Kochi purpose or to the for India? No, there will be some containers for Sri Lanka or some other countries. So there will be even goods in transit also. But because of this custom delay or custom procedural issues, that there used to be lot of delay in relation to the movement, in relation to the release, in relation to the clearance. So basically this agreement, basically this agreement want to bring some changes, to this customs procedure, so that the movement of goods, there will be more free movement of goods, and there will be speedy. So basically it's expediting, means expediting the process of these, what I said, that regarding the movement, release and other process required for goods in movement. Okay, so nothing but, so trade facilitation is basically to facilitate the cargo, especially once it reaches any particular country's port. Okay, so this is the core point in relation to trade facilitation agreement. Now regarding this, so if somebody asks you, it's nothing but facilitating trade. Core point is in relation to goods. So service, see, regarding services there is no problem. I told you that regarding services, there is no procedural delays is not in relation to services, but in relation to goods only that problem is there. Now why I am saying that trade facilitation agreement is very important? It's important for several reasons. One, in 2013, so this history go back to Singapore, because in Singapore it was discussed for the first time, the first ministerial conference, that's why it is called as Singapore issue. But in the Bali ministerial conference, which was held in 2013, finally the WTO agreed. There was a consensus among the member countries. So that if you remember one thing, when we discussed agreement on agriculture, especially regarding the peace clause, I told you India was not agreeing with the trade facilitation agreement. India was not agreeing, not because of India is against trade facilitation agreement. India wanted a bargaining chip. India said that give us peace clause for food security, then only we will sign. Then a peace clause was signed between, means or agreement, then India agreed, okay, we will not hurt your food security, or we will not take you to dispute settlement panel. Okay, give us, so we'll come to the picture, even though it is good for India also. So finally in the Bali ministerial conference, this was approved by the, so trade facilitation agreement was approved by WTO in the Bali ministerial conference. Now when it will come into force, with the condition that, see, no agreement will not come into force so quickly, even if WTO agrees. It has to be ratified by the member country's parliament or member country's government. It need approval. Okay, so in some cases it's parliament, in some cases it's the government. But what I am trying, member country have to, so it says that this is a very important point, that for trade facilitation agreement to come into force, two-third of the member countries, have to ratify. It's a very important point. See, don't get confused, two-third. I'm telling you, very important. So for the trade facilitation agreement to come into force, two-third of the member countries have to ratify. India is also a WTO member. Okay, and so it was approved by WTO in 2013. Now after that, every country slowly started one by one. So now imagine that presently there are 164 WTO members. 164 WTO members. Okay, India became this in 2016. India in April 2016, Indian government ratified trade facilitation agreement. So that itself is a current affair, because India ratified it. Indian government ratified in which year? In which year? 2016 April. What is the significance of 2016? That is our prelims new. It's 2016. What all things happened in 2016? What all things happened in 2016? And what was in the, and also what all things happened in the first quarter of 2017 is a potential question for you. And there were a lot of news during that time. See, don't think that okay, when India signs it, there will be no news at all. There will be a lot of news. Yes or no? So it was a major current affair in April 2016 or before that also. Now again in February 2017, few countries signed and it crossed that milestone of 2/3. So now in February, that's the news I posted again now, that with certain countries joining, this number 112 have crossed, that is 2/3 number have crossed, and now trade facilitation agreement have come into force. So for two major reasons, not for two, one more reason is there. So one is that in April 2016 India ratified it. In February that number, 2/3 of the number crossed, and this trade facilitation agreement came into force. Third, that this is the first multilateral trade agreement which came into force after first multilateral trade agreement after WTO came into existence. It means that after 1995, see when WTO came into existence? 1st January 1995. So after, so that in this 22 year of existence, this is the first. So that's why I told you, WTO is not, see there are so many issues still being stuck up. But so for us it's not about WTO, it's about question. It's about prelims question, mains question. So anyway, because of all these reasons, it has become a very important potential question for you. And I am telling you, this 2/3 will be your key thing. Because several times, because whenever a country signs, news used to come, and that same point it will come, that 2/3. So when India signed also, this point were there. So that's the key thing. Okay. So revise this trade facilitation agreement. So don't get confused. Okay. There are a lot of multilateral agreement. So now this TFA will also join the group of agreements like TRIPS, because TRIPS is a multilateral agreement. We know what is a multilateral agreement. What is the specialty of a multilateral agreement? It is binding on all members. It's binding on, no one member can't say that now I am not ratified, I will not join it. Now it has become a multilateral agreement. Now there is no other option, whether you sign it or not. So because condition is for 2/3 members to come into force. It has happened. That's the one important thing. So second thing is that you need to know that, so there are three important sections in this multilateral agreement, trade facilitation agreement. One we already discussed. What is that? In relation to the movement of, means making the goods, release of goods, or movement, release and clearance of goods easier, or expedite this process, making it faster, So that's the first thing that we have discussed. Second thing is that, now try to understand that for developed countries, see already developed countries, the customs clearance, everything is technology driven. It is very easy. In US and Europe, it hardly takes it, means in a quick manner, cargo will be released. In Singapore, countries like Singapore, it's very fast, unlike developing countries where there are a lot of, see basically they require technical assistance. They require sufficient investment to do all these things. Okay, so the second section talks about the core thing which we discussed under WTO, what is called as special and differential treatment. So here also, that is this is the second thing. Second section talks about special and differential treatment. To whom we special and differential treatment will be given? For developing and least developing country. For developing and least developing countries, special and differential treatment will be given in relation to giving them assistance for customs procedure and other related things. So all the technical assistance and other related support will be given, and also in relation to implementation. We already discussed. So developing country and least developing country will be given more time to implement this agreement. So this we already studied, but for special and differential treatment means developing countries and least developing country will be given more time to implement something. You remember when we discussed WTO, we discussed that for reducing import duty, developing country have given more time, like that. So similarly in trade facilitation agreement also there is a special and differential treatment provision. So first is regarding the customs is procedure, second is in relation to the special and differential treatment, third is in relation to a committee will be set up in WTO. See, while discussing WTO we had seen that there are a lot of committees. Go back and read the WTO material. In that a figure have been given. I have seen that lot of committees have been given. Now a new committee will be set up called as committee on, very simple, committee on trade facilitation. Committee on trade facilitation will look after the trade facilitation issues, especially the customs related procedure. They will see that whether the member countries is implementing this agreement in spirit. We will give them the proper assistance. So at the WTO there will be a committee on trade facilitation, and it also urge member countries to set up a national committee. So along with setting up a committee on trade facilitation in WTO, it also want member countries to set up a national committee on trade facilitation. So every member country will have to set up a national committee on trade facilitation. The purpose of this committee is to coordinate with the customs and other related authorities. See, now try to not only customs, there are so many regulatory bodies, and also assess there need to be, so one is in relation to this committee will directly interact with the customs in relation to or giving them the assistance or customs procedures. Along with that it will cooperate or it will coordinate with the central government, with the state government and the private players who are involved, including the exporters and importers. Basically for importers they will be coordinating. So basically they will do two work. One is coordination work, second is coordination to, so basically the aim of this committee is to facilitate trade in goods, so that basically facilitate faster movement of merchandise goods, and here they will ask you, they can ask you. So Indian government have already set up a national committee as part of ratifying this trade agreement. Indian government have set up this national committee on trade facilitation, and it is co-chaired. So there are two chairmen for it. It is co-chaired. This national committee on trade facilitation is co-chaired by two secretaries. One is the commerce secretary and other is the revenue secretary. See, these are facts, but once a topic becomes important, you need to revise it properly. That's a smart preparation. Okay. And it said that, okay, the WTO Director General says that, okay, in his recent, once this trade facilitation agreement came into force, it says that once trade facilitation agreement start, means it's already ratified, now it has come into force. They believe, the WTO believe, or WTO Director General believe, or it's a belief by everyone, it has two very important objectives it will result in once this trade facilitation becomes a reality. One is in relation to, there will be lesser, trading cost will be lesser. Trading cost will be lesser. It is estimated that it is estimated that somewhere around 14%, 14% of the trading cost will be lessened with trade facilitation agreement. And it's also estimated that somewhere around 0.5 to 1% global, it will result in global trade growth or global growth. So there will be, because of the improved trade facility or improved movement of goods, will result in exports growth, and exports growth will support global economic growth. So this is a very important thing which can bring to especially to an global economy where it is in slowdown. So trade facilitation agreement will boost the exports and imports, and that will result in more global economic growth. So this is the key feature about trade facilitation agreement. Okay, just go and revise it. I will send the material, that will be sufficient, and I hope that few more articles will come in the newspaper. Again, you revise it or read that article which I posted. Read it again, then it will be more clear for you. Just now take that question on trade facilitation agreement. You see what has happened with you in relation to trade facilitation agreement. So question number 36. First statement regarding the trade facilitation. The participant nation will simplify and standardize the customs procedures at the borders to make easier flow of goods around the globe. See, goods. So that statement is correct. So we can eliminate choice B. It will trim the global trade cost by more than 50%. You need to be very smart enough. How any initiative can reduce 50%? If that logic is applied, you will get to know that is, see, before this discussion itself, if you apply common sense, common logic, you will get to know that this statement is it will never be correct. Because 50% of trading cost by a simple agreement, it will never happen. So in that, actually it is somewhere around 14%, so it will be less than 20%. So that statement, and could boost global growth by, so second statement, boosting global growth by half a percentage point is correct, but the first point is wrong. What? Reducing the global trade cost by more than 50% is wrong. So second statement is wrong. So if second statement is wrong, we can eliminate choice D also. Now regarding the third point, poorer countries get improved access to richer market. It's correct. Why? Now see, what is the problem with the that's why I'm telling you, na? See the second point. What is that? Special and differential treatment. Special and differential treatment, what is actually one of the reasons for the poorer countries lacking behind in global trade is that they don't have sufficient infrastructure, especially port related or not port, the procedural infrastructure. They don't have that much of technology in which the movement of goods can be cleared in a very quicker time. They don't have the required clearance system. So by technical assistance which will be provided under trade facilitation agreement to the poorer countries, or especially developing and least developing countries, this will help them, even the poorer countries, to be part of the active involvement. I mean, they can make an active participation in the global trade. So third statement is correct. So answer is 1 and 3. Okay, so that's regarding trade facilitation. It's very, very important.